Politics in America will dominate a lot of what we're doing today. Kamala Harris looks likely to become the Democratic Party's nominee as she raises a record $81 million in 24 hours. Well, I think it's unfair to say she's raised it. I think Joe Biden's raised it. I mean, what they're saying, $81 million in 2 days she's raised. I doubt that.
Well, let's speak now to foreign correspondent Sara Firth, who can tell us a little bit more. Good morning to you, Sarah. So how does this work then? Is this donations for Kamala Harris, or did this already exist for Joe Biden?
No, the Harris HQ, as it's been renamed, has been claiming that is the money that they've raised, a record-breaking amount of fundraising in the time since it was announced that Kamala Harris was going to be running for president. And we heard just a few short hours ago that she has now secured enough of the support from Democratic delegates to be the nominee for her party. So it's full steam ahead for Harris HQ. It's very interesting, actually, Eamon and Ellie, today, just outside the White House, I was speaking to people about what was happening, the events as they were unfolding. We'd yet to hear from Kamala Harris at that point, and a really mixed reaction. A lot of people saying they were disappointed in the fact that they obviously felt that they hadn't been given perhaps as much information as they needed about Biden, about his state, about his health. A lot of support, though, for Kamala Harris. A lot of people saying they feel invigorated, they feel excited. And amongst the Republican supporters that we were speaking to, they were still saying, look, okay, it might have been a curveball for the Republican Party, but they still think Trump is in it to win it. So there's, a lot of positive noises in these first early days since the announcement's been made. The big question here today on many Americans' lips is, where is Joe Biden? We have heard from the president today. He called in to Harris HQ. He spoke to Kamala Harris. It was very warm. It was very loving. Lots of touchy-feely words. People want to see him, though, after this major announcement that he's stepping down from the re-election bid. We haven't seen him since. So that's the big question on everyone's lips at the moment. Yeah. The White House have confirmed that we're expecting him to be back in D.C. tomorrow, but we'll keep you posted on that.
Well, I do have to say, I know a lot of people who've got COVID yet again, and it's really bad.
Oh, really?
This time round, yeah.
But
there's good news and bad news for Kamala Harris, Sarah. The good news is her popularity rating is the same as President Biden's. I was hearing on the radio today. That's the good news. The bad news is he's got rubbish popularity ratings anyway. So they're both in the same boat. She, according to what I heard today, is just not popular.
Yeah, and Eamon, look, we discussed yesterday with you and Ellie in the wake of this, just shockwaves of news throughout the American public about the fact that, the initial response from a lot in the Democratic Party has been this line that Biden's some sort of hero for finally doing the right thing and putting the American people first. But the reality is it doesn't give Kamala Harris that much time to be getting out onto the campaign trail, to be getting her message across. Now, we did hear from her today. She laid out some of her credentials. She was speaking about her work as a prosecutor, as an attorney general in the US. Now, we know that she has got this very tough stance, this very tough image. She's got a very impressive track record with her legal career. It's thought that's going to really be something, sort of messaging that she tries to put across on the campaign trail. She said something along the lines of, I know guys like Donald Trump. So that's really where she's positioning herself. But Eamon, you're absolutely right. There is a lot of people out there who are questioning this decision so late in the day, already feeling let down by the Democratic Party, by the White House and the party around the president. And remember, Kamala Harris was in that inner circle. She's the vice president. So all these questions about why didn't the American public know sooner the state of Biden's health and his ability to run for the next 4 years? Why weren't people informed of this? Kamala Harris has a lot of accountability there that she has to answer to as well.
I mean, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. has said exactly that. He's described Kamala Harris as the concealer in chief of Biden's frailties. He says that she's to blame for that. Do you think that's something that she can shake off? I was reading some commentary in the papers over here this morning, Sarah, and some suggestion that she should actually be made president now, that Biden should step down, and then in that way she proves herself, she earns herself.
That she can actually do the job.
That she can do the job.
Yes, Ellie, spot on. I mean, that's the discussion here at the moment in Washington. Is that going to be the next step in this very chaotic sequence of events? The Republican Party, in particular, and very loud voices amongst the Republicans saying, look, if the president isn't fit to run for the next 4 years, he's ill at the moment with COVID. The White House is saying he's recovering. He'll be back in the White House soon. He's still fit to run. But the question is, well, if you're not fit to run for the next 4 years, are you fit to run now, given everything that the American public has seen over the past few weeks, from the debate onwards, getting President Zelensky's name wrong at the NATO summit, calling him President Putin, gaffes like that, with his frailty, with the sickness, with all these rumors that have been going around. And now, frankly, with the fact that given this major announcement that was released on X, it was released in a statement, we haven't actually seen Joe Biden step forward and speak to the American public. And so with all of that uncertainty around, you are absolutely right. The questions are very much about whether there is further chaos ahead, whether we're going to maybe see him stepping aside sooner and Kamala Harris stepping up to the plate earlier. But there are going to be some more twists and turns in this tale, that's for sure.
Yeah. Sarah, a story that we're covering this morning in our headlines is misogyny, and this report into misogyny and how these influencers online can influence so many men into dismissing women, not taking women seriously, and worse, much worse than that. But, Donald Trump could hardly be held up as a banner fighting for womanhood around the world, and you see these Kamala Harris stories coming out and whatever, and I begin to worry: are we being unduly influenced again into she's just a woman?
What do you make of it, Sarah?
I mean, listen, she's a tough cookie. She's going to be gearing up for a very, very tough campaign ahead of her if she is the nominee for the party. We've got to wait to the Democratic National Convention. That's in just a couple of weeks in Chicago. We're going to see what plays out there. I mean, it has, as I said, been a very, very turbulent sequence of events. She's strong. You hear her speaking. She's on brand. She's on message, as we said. She's got that background as a prosecutor and attorney general. But you're right, guys. Look, there's a lot of debate right now, and there's a lot of headlines, and there's a lot of messaging coming from the Democratic Party that everyone's rallying around Kamala Harris. But, get out on the streets and speak to the American people. There's a lot of concern here, too, amongst the American people, a bit of anger as well, and a lot of confusion. And as I said, that hasn't really been cleared up by the fact we haven't heard a statement from Joe Biden in person on camera yet since he made this major announcement. And it's still not clear, a couple of weeks until we know whether she will be the one the party has chosen to run for president. And then just less than 100 days, I think, until the actual election. Not much time at all.
Yeah.
Well, interesting stuff, fascinating stuff, Sarah. Really appreciate your take on things this morning. Thank you for your time and analysis. Thank you. Sarah Firth there.